Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk. I'm your host, Coach Kevin Bull Jones. I got my guys here with me again. It's only 4 teams left. 4. So, the show tonight, which 2 teams are not going to make it to the championship game? I want to just come out with a little different flavor because I just want us to we want to get the butter from the duck tonight. Who is not going to make it? Just keep it what it is. So if you enjoy the show, thanks. Make sure that you share it. Make sure you subscribe to 100 Yards Football Sports Talk. You like it. And I got my guys here with me again, and I want to go ahead and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start with that guy. I call him Big JL, and Jonathan Lewis, but I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself in. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So Jonathan Lewis from College Football with Jonathan Lewis. Twitter at College FB Lewis. Other than that, love talking college football. Obviously, concentrate a lot on the SEC, but I honestly can't wait now for the next recruiting cycle to already start. I got some big plans going with that. Got to get with Coach Williams. We got some future stuff in the works here. Obviously, it's all going to be wrapping up and put together soon. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, so let's go ahead down in the corner down there. Let's go ahead. Introduce yourself, my brother. Joel, go ahead.
Coach Williams, Joel Williams, Monsignor Pace High School, down here in Miami, Florida, doing some great things. Been a part of just keeping my eye out, keep my ear close to the ground, what's going on in college football at the U and definitely at other places.
Absolutely.
Definitely other places in the state of Florida. How about them nights?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. First shot. Okay, and last but not least, my brother from another mother. Go ahead, Craig. Give it to me.
Craig Chapman, just an old ball coach at Pike County High School. Nothing special about me. Ball-headed, ugly, and just coach ball. That's it.
Oh, sports fans, he can remember stuff. He can remember stuff like no other. I wish I had him when I took the SAT. I had to throw that in. Hey, guys, thank you for coming on. And I wanted to, when we talked about football and SEC and championship games and the ironic part about it is, Jonathan for so long was the one who said that Georgia was going to win the SEC championship. And of course, he is a Bama fan. But at the end of the day, so much has happened. So now we get to this point. With so much going on, we down to the Final Four. There can only be 2 to make it. So we starting off the show. We're going to hit it right off the rip. I'm going to start with you, Craig, and then we're going to you, Joel, and then Jonathan Lewis. We're going to tap into it right now. Of the 4 teams left, Cincinnati, Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan, that big blue team, okay? Great to see some other teams in the Final Four. I would think we all might want to probably agree with that. But give me your overview on the climate as far as how excited the game is going to be, these 2 games coming up. Start with you, Craig.
Well, I think that, you get the early game on Friday with Alabama and Cincinnati, and, everybody talks about Cincinnati's secondary and Alabama's wide receivers. So, you got that matchup, and then you got Georgia's run defense versus Michigan's run offense. And it seems like, that's where everybody's focused in and talked about. Of course, if you live in Georgia, then everybody's talked about who's going to play quarterback for Georgia, not being from Cincinnati or Ann Arbor, we're not really getting that inside information. Like, I hear every day about, who's got this, who does that, what kind of turmoil is going on in the Georgia program. If you're asking me, to make a pick on who plays in the national championship game, I still say it's Alabama and Georgia. Now, I think that the Cincinnati-Alabama game will be much closer than people think it'll be. I saw a particular post on a social media site that said that Alabama would be up 50 at halftime, and I just can't see that happening. I think that the Michi injury plays a little bit more into it than, maybe people want to talk about. We'll get to see how can Cincinnati stress Alabama's defense. And they've had some games just like Alabama has where, if you look at the Navy-Cincinnati game, that was a struggle. So everybody likes to point at games during the season. The fact of the matter is that did you win the game? All right, because there's no style points when you get to this point. I think Georgia and Michigan has a chance to be just a physical battle, a physical defensive battle. And I think that Michigan is going to try to impose their will. Unfortunately, I think that what Michigan does well is what Georgia's built to stop. And we'll have to see if Michigan can throw the ball well enough, to move the ball on Georgia's defense, and can Georgia's tackles hold up against Michigan's pass rush. So, we're just there's all kind of stuff that we can look at. I'm still going to go with Alabama and Georgia to play for it all.
Ooh-wee, sports fan. That came from Coach Craig Chapman. Great comrade and former colleague, working together so many years. Those wonderful years at Lovejoy High School, where had a great run there of some unbelievable. He was the OC and I was the DC, and we were just having some fun out there in that Georgia Dome back when it was a Georgia Dome. I'm glad we didn't go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium because the Falcons can't win there. I'm sorry, I shouldn't go there. But anyway, we had a great time in there. Okay, Joel, your thoughts on what we're walking into coming up this New Year's Eve?
I'm gonna just piggyback, like he said, and I've been saying it all year. Well, since this playoff thing got developed with the teams, it's going to be a Georgia-Alabama rematch. And with that being said, I Kirby is going to be smart, no pun intended. JT Daniels will play. He must play. He must play. And number one, why I say he must play, if they plan on beating Michigan, he has to play. And that's the bottom line as it relates to that game. And I think it's going to be fun to see, like Craig said, if the tackles can hold up with Michigan's pass rush. But more than that, I think Georgia has a defense set up already to stop their run. To see if they can get McNamara to, beat them with his arm. And I don't think he can. I just think it's going to be a Georgia-Alabama national championship. Now, with that being said, I think we talked about this Alabama-Cincinnati game for some time. And I said, and quote me, and I did. I don't know if I was on the show with you, Jonathan, but I did say, if it's third quarter with 8 minutes left in the third quarter, and the score is 15-10, Alabama better watch out. Yeah, just watch out. Just watch out. But with the pedigree being what it is in Alabama, I think they'll be able to handle their business. I think it'll start slow for them, but I think as it goes on, they have a freak of nature back there in that number 9 kid. Yeah. I think they'll just have their will once once they shoot their load.
Well, sports fans, that's from Coach Joel Williams. Once again, won a state championship at Miami Norland High School. I got it right this time, right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
To Coach Duke Johnson, along with a plethora of other great athletes, but great student athletes. And let me put it like that, because kids got their work done, and Coach Joel was part of that staff that made sure them kids got their business handled to get to the next level. And then some of those guys fortunate enough to make it to the NFL. And of course, Joel and I spent some great time together in DeKalb County, Columbia High School, and coaching together. So you're hearing the two parts of it from a coach's standpoint. But now I want to bring in the man who's got the analytics thing. And every time I think about Jonathan and this stuff, man, it's almost like the Matrix, because he's got stuff that he pops up. And it's almost like you, Craig, with remembering certain plays from 15 years ago. Jonathan hits stuff like, I'm like, nah, I didn't know that. But, so I want to turn it over to you. What do you think about this? And you've had a chance to sit on your show, of course, College Football with Jonathan Lewis. Folks, make sure you all get a chance to watch that, because he's got some great slamming stuff on there. But your nickname is the analytical guy. Give it to us.
All right. So, look, I want to be real from the beginning. We got to hope we can make it there without COVID issues for any of these teams. That's the first thing before we even talk about the matchup. Alabama experiencing obviously 2 coaches testing positive, with Bill O'Brien, offense coordinator, and Doug Marone, the offensive line coach. So first, we got to get past that obstacle. The great news relating to Georgia that I just found out actually a couple hours ago, JT Daniels did clear the COVID-19 protocol, so he will be allowed to participate, travel with the team, everything else, which I think they already have, to be honest with you. But I want to start off with a Georgia and Michigan matchup. This matchup to me favors Georgia in every way, shape, and form. Look, Michigan has an excellent run game. I get it. Haskins, Corum, excellent. But they play exactly into what Georgia does best. Jordan Davis, this is going to be his game. In all honesty, what has Georgia been hearing or leading up to the 3 weeks into this game? How they got torched and just drug up the field, how the defense was overrated. And it's going to feed into the exact same type of rat poison that was fed into Alabama leading into that SEC championship game. And I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart, just like Nick Saban, is blasting that stuff every practice. It's on every television, talking about how much their defense was overrated and how Jordan Davis can't get off the field and how the back end with Ringo knows the guys can't keep up with the receivers. Well, I don't think it's going to be an issue with this game. When you go back and look at the times when teams have been successful against Michigan State, they did allow McNamara to throw the ball. But what did they do? Corum and Haskins, neither one of them got over 60 yards. So let them throw the ball. But at the end of the day, it's going to take them getting over 100 yards a game to win the game, in my opinion. I think that's all there is to in this game. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than anticipated. And my prediction for this, I want to stretch it out and say that Georgia has a chance to beat them by possibly more than 10 points.
Oh, wow.
But it's going to be dependent on, does JT Daniels play? Because everybody wants to hear that question. You know, this is the guy, Stetson Bennett coming in and walk on, earn a scholarship. You know, it's a great story to have, but at the end of the day, can he win you a national championship? And I said it before the season started. I said, no, he cannot. It's going to have to be JT Daniels, plain and simple. So with that being said, rolling over into the Alabama game, look, I get it. Sauce Gardner, amazing. Brooks, the safety for Cincinnati, amazing kid, 7 all AAC, all Americans in that aspect. But there's a reason why it's called all AAC. No disrespect to any of those guys. No disrespect. But there's a reason why it's called AAC, SEC, Pac-12, everything else, right? So Jerome Ford was a backup, never could get on the field, transferred to Cincinnati. He looks amazing. You just don't know what you're going to get out of these kids. But at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is Alabama's depth is going to be way too much for Cincinnati, which is why I keep the game close in the first half, possibly into the third quarter. Depth comes into play, and it stretches out going into the fourth. And, I think it's going to be Alabama versus Georgia once again, rematch. And of course, everybody wants to see it again, right? The numbers, the money. Vegas definitely wants to see it, by the way. So, that's all there is to it.
Well, with you guys in your assessment, let me give you what stands out to me, and this is from a coaching standpoint. Georgia-Michigan game, 17 plays of 50-plus yards.
Yeah.
You know, some of the great teams don't have more than 10. So, and I mean great offenses don't have more than 10 of 50. 50 means that when somebody gets loose, it's okay? Which means he's about to bump his head on the goalpost. Now, at any other time in watching Michigan football, and I will admit, Michigan fans, I have not watched enough because I saw enough in the previous years that I didn't want to watch anymore.
Sound like me.
So I'm going to keep it real. You impressed me with the way you undauntingly said, I do have some dudes. I do have some athletes. I do have those guys. Okay, and those guys give you this or they give you this. Those are the signals for the head coach to say we either going for 1 after the touchdown or we going for 2 for a 2-point conversion, because that's what they do. They bump their heads on the goalpost. So with that being said, the part that I get excited about in knowing this game is about to happen is Georgia's got some dudes they got to go catch or stop them before they get going.
That's right.
And that is extremely impressive challenge. First of all, I'm impressed that Lanning is still there to coach through it. Hey, hats off to you, coach, from one coach to another. You know, I know I'm a small fish and you're a big fish, but that that is kudos for you staying, because it's gonna get hot. It's gonna get hot this Friday, and there might be a moment when one of them dudes catch out, because you're telling me there's 17 plays where my dude got the ball, whether it's thrown to him or ran to him, or he ran it, and nobody could catch him. So then I turn around and say, well, Josh Gaddis, well, I remember when he was at Bama. And I remember the room. See, it goes back to the room that you learn football from. The room. If the walls could give a history lesson on adjustments, preparing for sudden change. My previous coaching staff I had at my previous school, I used to always say, okay, what's plan A, what's plan B, and what's plan C? Now, plan C might mean turn the damn lights off and everybody go home, because we don't have enough to get done what we need to do. And I would say that to him jokingly, but I was really saying it's the chess match is going to be amazing, because those guys at Georgia, their feelings are hurt from what happened in that SEC championship game. So their want to and their drive to have a plan A, B, and C is just totally on a different level. Those guys at Georgia are working around the clock, and now the hope is that the kids follow up with as much due diligence to each play and formation that they have been going over as much as the staff. And on that part, I feel like Josh Gaddis has an advantage, because there's something he hasn't shown, that he can get out of a power set. And if you got 17 plays of 50 more yards, then that means you don't have to go power all the time. But I agree with you, Joel. McNamara is not to do. You might want to let him throw the ball. But the thing about it is, on a tunnel screen or a quick screen, they got a dude that says, uh-oh. Everybody said, uh-oh, coach, he's gone. So Georgia's got something to deal with. And I agree with both of you all three of you guys on, I'm not taking things away from Bennett. And, I don't know if two quarterbacks is Kirby is of the old regime with that loyalty, and he is a defensive-minded coach. So we kind of old farts in our mindset. Now Craig is the one who can spin it and no huddle, then empty, and when he calls his offensive plays. But us guys on defense side of the ball, all that cuteness, we really ain't cute with it. We prefer that we know what's coming. And if you're going to make us prepare for both quarterbacks, I don't know if Kirby thinks like that, because he is a defensive guy. But here's the thing that I've been saying about Kirby from day one, and this is what makes him different from his daddy. His daddy will prepare for sudden change and will roll a dice. And I don't think that Kirby will roll a dice and put JT Daniels in the game. And if he does he have a package that's different? Every coach is going to say, we're going to do what we always do. Oh, okay. I tell you what, you better let Cook get the ball on swing routes.
Yep.
Throw the ball to Cook and run Zeus downhill, and then go no huddle with that other running back. Was it McIntosh or whoever?
Yeah.
Okay, he's got the Jets. He's got the uh-oh. So if you beat him up a little bit and then come with the McIntosh, that hurts. But, I'm just a high school guy looking at this thing from afar on my wonderful TV my wife made me buy. But anyway. But here's the thing. I think that Georgia and Michigan, another thing that I found out, and I'm sure you guys heard it too, Michigan has been together the whole time since the Christmas break. They didn't let their players go home.
Yep.
There's a serious focus there. Georgia, and deservingly so, Kirby probably needed to get those kids off campus, let them go home so their buddies at home can talk trash about them because they got drugged by Bama. So maybe that it was a great psyche thing, because them kids probably said, man, when I get back to practice, I'm going to do something, So they probably had something that said, I tell you what. But then you deal with the COVID part of it. Well, the Michigan guys are locked in. So here's what I think is going to happen in that game. I'm not ready to say that I think it's going to be a tight game. And I think it's going to come down to, unfortunately, that 13 gonna have to make the play. Now, if he makes the play, then we talking about, they meeting up with the big brothers. But it's gonna come down to 13. And on Michigan's side, I think that if those two dudes come off that edge and wreak havoc, Georgia's gonna have. I don't think their linemen can catch those guys because both of them are good.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think that nobody's really paying as much attention to Michigan's secondary, which is pretty good. So I think on that end, I think Georgia could probably make it, but they got to go get it because ain't nobody giving it to them. And I would like to see Kirby in the game. Okay, but guess what? You got to go get it. You got to bite somebody. Okay, because that walk around flexing that you got to go bite them. Now on the other side, I think you guys are right. This is going to be a close game, and I agree with you. What Coach Saban says. Listen, don't take that rat poison. And we do have to make some adjustments because Cincinnati is going to have us pegged the first two quarters. And then we got to come out and do some things differently. And we got a lot of guys that can get that ball and bump their head. And I think that's going to be the perfect thing to help, but it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. There's just something about what can they show number 9 that's different than what he's already seen, which is probably nothing. But I think that Cincinnati's going to try to play keep away with the football. Oh, they taking that. They taking the play clock all the way down, Craig. You know how you offensive guys do it. And me and Joel, us defensive guys looking crazy. They're probably going to take the play clock all the way down. Okay, 2 seconds left, they're going to snap the ball. Don't be surprised if it happens. So with that being said, I do agree, because I can't disagree, that it should be Bama and Georgia, and they should play for the national championship. Everybody want to see it. Now, Michigan is going to be the spoilers role. They're going to hurt somebody's feelings if something don't go right, and I would like to see how Kirby adjusts. Will he be yes or no? You all tell me this. What quarter do you think, first of all, let's start with you, John. Do you think that JT Daniels is going to play in the game? Yes or no?
Sorry, I actually muted Mike. He's going to have to. I think Kirby and Todd Monken's head's riding on it. I'm not saying they get fired, but there's so much pressure right now that if Georgia even starts slipping, let's say they get behind 7 to 10 points, I think that you're going to see there's going to have to be something out of this. I just feel like there's the whole entire fan base all year has been saying, where the hell is JT Daniels? Everybody's been saying it. So,
wow. I think you're right. What about you, Craig?
I think that Daniels fits into more to what Monken wants to do than Bennett does.
Yep.
Oh,
100%.
Because that's that offense that they brought in because they wanted to throw the ball vertical and marry it with that, power run game that Georgia's always had to be able to play action and throw the ball down the field. And at the end of last year, Daniels was ripping them for 350 yards a game, and he did it in the Peach Bowl or down here against Cincinnati. So it wasn't like they played some chumps. And I mean, at the end of last year, most everybody would tell you that they had Georgia ranked high because of the anticipation of JT Daniels coming back and being under center. They didn't rank Georgia high because they thought Stetson Bennett was coming back. Now, that being said, Stetson Bennett had a nice year. He didn't have to ever do anything because their defense suffocated everyone they played except one team. And that one team was Alabama. Now, I know Daniels got hurt and all of that stuff, and I know that you pointed out that defensive coaches like to go with what they feel comfortable with, but you know how I am.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now,
roll the dice, baby.
We finna throw this joker. I've already been told one time by the guy on the screen, Craig Chapman, if you throw another slant out of the end zone, I'm getting on the bus now. So, you know me, I'll throw the toothpaste on the toothbrush in the morning to brush my teeth. So if it was me, you get a quarter 13, and if after that quarter it don't look like I want it to look, the guy that's going in the game is the guy that can spin it. So that's just me.
Oh my God, Joel, this guy, look, it's gone. The ball is in the air. I tell you what, it's on a rope. Go ahead, Joel. What you think? Is he coming in the game or not?
I'm like the rest of these guys, but I'm gonna put another caveat on. I think I'm two for two right now with my predictions as it relates to being on the show.
Yeah.
I think Stetson Bennett's gonna have COVID. He don't even play.
Ooh.
I don't think he played because this game is too important for him to start the game and then start those shenanigans. And you know, Kirby Smart really likes the kid, and he doesn't want to get his emotions all tied up in this thing. He wants to be able to make a sound decision. JT Daniels will be it. JT Daniels will be, when you spot the ball, JT Daniels will be on the center with the ball.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's give another. Here comes a bolo punch. I want to know what happened in the Central UCF Florida game. Jonathan, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh my god.
And then Craig, I'm gonna come to you, and Joel, I want you to finish this thing up. I didn't see the whole game. I saw the fight, but I didn't see the whole game.
Did you see the helmet stuck together?
Yeah. So Jonathan, you start first, then you, Craig.
I'm going to make this very simple. Third down conversions. That's all you got to look at, folks. It's not hard. When I went back and watched this game, because I watched it after they played, gotcha. Both teams drove the ball. Both teams ran the ball actually really well. But one team converted slightly better than the other. Neither team was great. So when I was actually taking the notes when I was watching that game, as far as third down conversions here, UCF converting 31%, Florida converting 15% on third down. Folks, you're not going to win many games converting 15% on third down. I don't care how good your offense, how good your defense is, whatever it may be, you're converting 15%, you're not getting anywhere. Florida rushed the ball for 205 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. Both QBs played pretty much identical. Neither one stood out from the other. It came down to one thing. It was third down conversion. That's all there is to it. And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard, Tosh LaPoy got hired as the defense coordinator at Oregon, so under Dan Lanning. So,
I did. I got an alert on that on my phone.
Oh, he stole them, huh?
So
here we go. The
third down conversion
again. All right, Craig, tell me your thoughts on the game. I only caught half of it. I saw the fight though, but
I saw a couple of things. Just thinking about the game, I cracked up. I was on social media before the game, and somebody said Florida was playing guys that had already entered the transfer portal. And I said, I was sitting there thinking, this can't be it, and not having a vested rooting interest in the game. I got to sit down and watch the most of it, and the third down conversion rate's one thing, but when you have a chance to make a play, when there is a play to be made, you have to make it. And Florida had 2 or 3 times where they had touchdowns.
Yep.
I mean, just easy. I'm not talking about the guy had to make a great play or a great throw. We're talking about layup touchdowns, and they missed it. And so when you go back and look at it, the game was physical. It was fun to watch from my perspective, because I was like, hey, neither one of these teams are my team, and because they actually scored in the game, so I knew they weren't my team. So and I was like, it baffles me that Florida doesn't seem like they have a receiver that can run by anybody.
Nope.
And then and it's UCF got guys running down the field, getting corners out of phase, flipping their hips, making them fall down. And Florida's got these long players that are playing receiver, and they schemed them open. But they aren't running by anybody. I mean, that was one of the things you always thought of when you thought of Florida was
right.
There's going to be a play in this game where it doesn't matter what we do. They're going to snap the ball. Somebody's going to run down the field. They're going to throw it. They're going to catch it. We can't stop it. And that has vanished from Florida. It was like that at Florida. It was like that at Florida State, and it was like that at Miami. And I mean, I remember growing up, I watched all 3 of those teams play because they threw the football, and they threw the football vertically. And that's what I liked about it. You know, I thought the game from a design part of the offense was fun to watch. You get to see the way they use formations to get what they want in the run game and the pass game.
Yeah.
It was sloppy. It was sloppy, which is what you could kind of expect. You know, and I could have told you before the game started, and I could have told you when the game was announced that there was going to be a fight at the end of it. But, you know, as far as, you know, wanting to be there, it didn't look like anybody took the day off, if you get what I'm saying.
Right.
But I think that UCF did what they had to do when they needed to do it. They made the plays that Florida didn't make to win the game. So, you know, Florida goes from 1 year running up almost 50 in the SEC championship game to finishing 6 and 7, and they're taking a beating for it right now.
Yeah,
an absolute beating for it.
Yeah. Well said, Joel. I'm gonna let you in this one on the Florida end. So you down there on the south end of Florida, and you know, explain to me why Florida doesn't have any game breakers. But I'm gonna give you the floor so you can explain it to me, because I don't understand that either. I'm like Craig. I don't understand what happened.
Well, let me just put it to you like this. Let's not make a mistake to think that UCF just started playing football. Okay. Ask their coach what happened when they played him in the bowl when he was the head coach at Auburn. Yeah. This is nothing new about these guys. These guys live to be the spoiler. They live to eat that stuff. They live to eat the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12. They live for that stuff. And by the way, they did position to go to the Big 12. Am I mistaken with that?
No, they're going.
Well, they're going.
They're going. So, they got signed in.
But when you look at their from 2010 to 2021, UCF have won 103 football games, lost only 50. They've won in that same time. They've had 6 10-plus win seasons. In that same time, they won 5 conference championships. How many conference championships have Florida won? 0 in that time. 0. So it's not.
So tell me what the pecking order is in Florida. Can you tell me what the pecking order is of the hierarchy of football? Because tell me what the pecking order. What does the street say for the pecking order? Who's the top? What school is the top dog in Florida?
Are we talking right now, as we speak right now?
Well, yeah, let's say right now. Yeah.
Everybody wants Miami. Everybody's coming to Miami. We're flipping guys. I told you on the last show that we were flipping guys. I told you on the last show that the verbal commit Jaleel Skinner from IMG was coming to Miami. I told you that. You didn't believe me, and look what happened. So we're getting, and as a matter of fact, we almost got a DB from Alabama, but he went to Mississippi State. So the pecking order is Miami right now. Miami, UCF, Florida State, because people still believe in Florida State and Florida. Florida really has a big hole to dig themselves out of. They really do. They have a big hole because they've gone through a transition of sorts over the past couple of years where they're not turning out. I mean, I think the biggest thing to come out there in the last couple of drafts was the big tight end that Atlanta guy. Am I mistaken?
Kyle Pitt.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to come out of there. So it's the pecking order: Miami, UCF, Florida State, Florida.
Wow.
But when I say this, people are not taking this UCF thing serious. They're still looking at them as a lower Power 5 school. But when they line up at the line of scrimmage, they're beating these Power 5 schools. They're beating them. Not only with schemes, it's just hat on a hat. They're beating these guys, and there's no secret about it. There's no mystery. There's no formula. It's just line up, and I'm gonna go get it. And I got Jimmy's and Joe's. You got Jimmy's and Joe's, but my Jimmy's and Joe's are better than yours. And these guys believe in what they're doing. Bottom line, they believe in the system. They believe. It don't matter who the coach is. It could be Frost, Scott Frost. It could be Miles. It could be whoever. It doesn't matter. They're getting the job done in between the whistles, in between the guy doggone and passing. They're getting it done, point blank. And everybody else, the Floridas, they're not getting it done. When's the last time Florida has been even recognized to be involved in against a major national championship? It's been a minute. They don't even play Miami anymore. They don't even play. They're not even on the schedule anymore. I think the last time they were on the schedule, Brock Berlin was the quarterback.
Yeah, so Billy Napier's got a culture change.
Well, speaking of that takes me to I wanted to present to you all. We have who's got the hardest job to fix the culture of everything going on. And I mentioned Oregon, I mentioned Florida, I mentioned Oklahoma, I mentioned LSU, and I also mentioned Notre Dame because they got a new coach now, and so I wanted to know from you guys, and of course Miami. So it was OU, LSU, USC, Miami, Oregon, and Florida, and Notre Dame. So let's I want to start with you, Jonathan. Tell me who's got the most work cut out for them. The top three schools that got the coaches that got their work cut out for them.
All right. Well, the first two, in my opinion, is pretty easy. When I look at the schedule and everything and what they're up against, to me, it's going to be Brian Kelly and LSU. And a lot of people will say it's crazy, but I look at it from this standpoint. This year, this is who Brian Kelly's facing, by the way, with LSU. He opens with Florida State, at Auburn, at Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, at Arkansas, at Texas A&M. He's expected to win right away. I don't feel like Billy Napier and the Florida fan base is saying we need an SEC championship. We need a 10-win season right now. In my opinion, Brian Kelly's going to be under pressure to win probably 9 to 10 games his first season. You have the LSU recruiting machine down there. You have the recruits coming in. I just look at it from a simple standpoint on that. Now, if we're talking about culture and everything else, and Billy Napier's got his work cut out for him in Florida has been a disaster, well, in my opinion, since Urban Meyer. I feel like Urban Meyer overlooking the 33 arrested players total, by the way, plus the arrested coach and everything else. It just started from there and it snowballed and it never got corrected. So you're talking about 12 plus years of just chaos ensuing inside that program, starting at the top with the administration, by the way, because everybody wants to blame Dan Mullen, by the way, for this past, 4 seasons. In my opinion, if you don't give the guy any help, like which he was screaming for, especially when it comes to recruiting budget, which he was asking for, kind of like Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame, and they're saying, no, we're only allocating 45% of what the rest of the SEC is, you've got a major problem on your hands starting at the very top, not just with a head coach. So it filters from the top all the way to the bottom with Florida as far as that goes. The next one, to me, I feel like Oregon's in good hands with Dan Lanning and now Tosh Tapoy over there, and I feel like it's going to be kind of the same scenario. He's going to have a little bit of leeway. I think the next one's going to be Venables at Oklahoma because you're going to have to correct the ship as far as recruiting goes because now all these kids obviously jumping ship going to USC. You're changing an entire scheme of the way they do things, offense, now converting over to defense with Brian Venables running the system and bringing in his guys as well for the recruiting aspect. It's a lot to change really quick. And I don't know, you're going to see instant results like every Oklahoma fan I've talked to is expecting to see in year one. I just don't see it. So, but yeah, that would be my top three. Then it would be LSU because of the schedule, Florida with the culture change, and Oklahoma's expectations of getting that entire program turned around as far as the way Venables wants it versus everybody else.
Ooh, that's well said. Great. Hey, that's good stuff. That's heavy. That's that is, you hit it right on the nose, Jonathan. That's on different levels of what needs to happen in all three of those places. Craig, your turn. Let you roll with it. Passing the ball off to you, Hoss.
I think Notre Dame's going to be fine. Realistically, I think they're going to be fine. I think USC got the right person for their kind of tempo for their program. I think that he fits with what they want to do. Florida's a train wreck. So Napier, I'm sure Napier understands what he's walking into. doesn't make it any easier. The interesting one for me, there's really two of them. And here's the thing. I think Cristobal fits with Miami. Now, can Cristobal get Miami back to where Miami was? That's a big question. But I don't think he's going to have the issue that guys in front of him had because, let's just be honest. Yeah, and he's not like Golden or any of those other guys. He's down there and he's about business, and he's going to go about his business to do what he's got to do. Now, I find it funny that a linebacker and a defensive coordinator took a job at a school that was made famous for up-tempo offense and uniforms that just got punched in the face twice in an ugly manner by Utah. And I think that Lanning is going to go in there, and I think that he's going to have to look at some of those kids and go, hey, now. Hey, now. You know how that is, Coach.
That's
you're
right.
You're going to have to put them on the ground and make them do 300 Wildcat push-ups.
Hey, you're going to have to peel some skin off up there.
While beetles crawl out of the soil.
Yeah, but like Cuthbert, Georgia, the hottest place in the United States of America. I don't care what they say.
But I think the most intriguing thing about this is LSU. And like Jonathan said, their schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people don't like Brian Kelly, but I like Brian Kelly, the coach. Brian Kelly, the coach, has won everywhere.
Yes.
And he's won doing different things. He's won by spreading the ball out and throwing it all over the place. Yeah. He's won by running the ball. He's won with different types of quarterbacks, different types of personnel. He does a very good job of fitting the scheme to his players. He's one of those guys that comes in and says, who do I have and what can I run with them? Not what do I know, and you're going to run what I know.
You mean all coaches don't do that, Craig?
No. So I think that he's the one that's the most intriguing because everybody was screaming he doesn't fit the LSU culture. Well, Nick Saban came from Michigan State, guys, and he didn't fit the LSU culture either. Nope. So he seemed to be pretty successful down there. But it may be rough his first year, but I think that him having spent 10 years at probably the most scrutinized job in the country, being at Notre Dame, because, everybody wants Notre Dame to be back and to challenge Alabama and the likes of that and to play in the big game and to not give up 50 and all of that stuff. But, it's going to be interesting. What does Brian Kelly do when he can go down here and handpick the recruits that he wants?
Wow.
Yep.
Great point.
So
Great point.
I think out of all of those teams, Florida's probably in the most distress. I'm not sure Oklahoma has the person that they want for the job because Oklahoma has been all about offensive skill players,
right?
And they're fixing to get a whole different baptism, if you will, on how Venables wants to coach. And he's going to want to play defense, and he's going to want to get people off the field. And I think he would be happy playing 24-21 type games. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And Oklahoma may be ready for that, considering every time they beat Texas, it's 52-41 or 52-49 or something like that. I'm sure they would take some of those games. But the most intriguing one of it for me is Brian Kelly, because I think he's in a good position, because I don't think anybody looks at him as being the right fit. So I think that makes him the right fit.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Great point about Saban coming from the Midwest, coming down there and winning national championship. Great point. Okay, Joel, go ahead. You take the handoff. Got a counter trap.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know if Miami was on the list that you text us, but
it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I think you're gonna see the most impact of any college football Power 5 team with the Miami team. This is the year where we got a down Clemson. We got a team that in Clemson who they're just not there where they used to be. And they're in uncharted territory right now. And I can honestly
they just lost another recruit, I think.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not mistaken. Go ahead, Joel. They just lost another recruit.
And I've been down to Coral Gables. I felt the vibe down there. I can see this being a 10+ win season for us at Miami. I believe in what those guys are doing. Now the funny, and like I've been telling my buddies, Cristobal is doing all this prep right now, and this guy hasn't even hired any coordinators. It's just him, T-Rob, and DeMarcus Van Dyke. That's it. Those are the people that are out there hitting the ground doing. And I'm sorry, and Steve Fields.
Okay.
Those are the people that are out there right now doing all the recruiting for the University of Miami. Now, and I know I'm biased because I'm from Miami and I love Miami to death. And I hate there's some things that's on this list that you gave us that I hate, that I really don't care for. but I really think and I don't like Brian Kelly, and those for my own personal reason. But I really think he's in over his head as it relates to the SEC. I'm gonna tell you why. Because just like everybody else, just like his kids that come from up under his umbrella, Nick Saban, he's gonna be so locked in on wanting to beat Nick Saban consistently, that he's gonna forget about everything else. And what's gonna happen? People are soon forgetting. Lane Kiffin has a pretty good football team up there in Mississippi. It's a pretty good football team. And I don't think that they're going to give him 2 or 3 years to get together because they're paying him a lot of money.
Exactly.
They're paying him the church money right now. So they're going to want results, and I don't see it coming right away. I think they had a great coach in Orgeron, but I guess for whatever reason, they fell out of love. I'm not sure why moving forward, but the Oklahoma job, I think I look at Venable as like a Baptist preacher. I mean, just looking at his mannerisms.
Yeah.
That team is in a world of trouble as it relates to competing on the level that they did with Stoops and that they did with Lincoln. They lost a great one in Lincoln. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And for whatever reason, that's a team I hate seeing in the bowl game or even in the playoff system because they never do well. That team and Notre Dame, they never do well in the playoff system. Never do well. Now, I think the guy who's going to be flying high in the friendly skies next to Mario Cristobal is Lincoln Riley. I think it's been for so long. We always used to look at college football when they were doing their thing, and I mean USC was just beating up everybody. The Reggie Bushes and all those guys were just phenomenal to watch, and we were glued in. Even if they played at 10 o'clock at night, we were watching those games. So trust and believe that Lincoln Riley, although he has his hands full, he'll be fine. I think he's going to do some good things this year. He'll do some good things this year. Venable's going to have some problems. Now, the Napier guy, I don't know much about him, being that he came from Louisiana, but like
he's a Saban disciple.
Sorry?
He's a true version of Saban as opposed to anybody else that's coached under him. As far as the character of how he transitions energy for these big recruits to play the toughest that they can play, he is the more mental part of Saban than any other coach that's been under his watch, including Kirby.
Now, can he convince the kids of that? Is he
going
to?
I mean, he's been successful in the way he's been.
Kamari Wilson stayed. I mean, to me, Wilson staying, like, committing was a huge indicator to how much they believe in Napier already. I mean, and that doesn't include what's his name, Jamar Shepard or whatever his name was as well. I mean, they got some recruits that were pretty much locked into Georgia, especially Kamari Wilson. Everybody had this dude Cristobal 100% to Georgia, and for him to come out and stick to Florida was like, okay, this dude has got something going on down there in Florida already.
Is that because he hired all those people from Georgia's recruiting staff?
Of course. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's all about recruiting.
Rodney Gardner with the staff.
Yep.
Well, let me say this, because I think those are some valid points. It's amazing how you all were able to hit various parts of peaks and valleys for all of those coaches and how these things are going to turn out. And actually, I kind of agree. I truly believe that the person that's going to fly on the radar, and he's probably going to have the most success when it's all said and done. He's not going to have the pressure right now. It's going to be Lincoln Riley out at USC. You're right, Joel. Those days of watching 10 o'clock at night, watching USC play football was magnificent back in those days. It was
Amen.
a true show. It was the Southern California show. And even if you didn't like the Trojans, you like watching Snoop Dogg and the rest of everybody, the entertainers and everybody embracing that California love. So I think that he's in the best place of anybody. No pressure. OU situation, I think there's a changing of a guard of what the people with the money want to see. All of the 56 to 54 battles and dogfights, I think that people with the money don't want to see that anymore, because at the end of the day, the common denominator is didn't get them any national championships. Okay, so I think that they don't want to see that anymore.
And they're going to the SEC.
And now they're going to the SEC, where, you know, you turn around and you get happy with spending 50. Even Lane Kiffin has done a wonderful job of getting some big-time defensive players. People need to watch out for Kiffin, because he's finally getting some defensive kids that he is getting them to buy what he's selling. And that is a phrase that Coach Saban loves to use. Are you buying what I'm selling? Now,
but what I love more about Lane Kiffin is, no matter what, he gives them the full show.
Yep.
He gives them the full show, and you're going to sit down and you're going to pay the price for admission, because he's a dynamic guy. I love how his mind works. Dynamic guy. Now, Craig, did you say something about Lincoln Riley being afraid of going to the SEC? Is that what I heard?
No, he said he's going to the SEC.
No,
so
but
Lincoln Riley now has the coach.
No, when Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma, did he leave because he didn't want to go to the SEC?
I mean, I would leave if I'm averaging 56 points a game and I got one of the top offenses in the nation, top 3 every year, and I can't get in the show. Why they wouldn't give Lincoln Riley what he wanted? Let's go ahead and say that first, okay? Because he wanted total autonomy of trying to get the best players in the nation, and he wanted to further come just not down south but deep south. He wanted to expand that thing, and the people with the money said no. So you're right. Go to sunny California. Never rains in Southern California. Never have to worry about an umbrella. Let's go to work.
Same thing with Brian Kelly, right? Didn't he advocate for recruiting more in the South, and they said no?
Yeah, because he's playing against them in the playoff games, and he's having to play against those dudes, the uh-oh guys.
And they just said that one of the reasons that they talked about they were happy with the hire was that they would go back to recruiting the private schools around Notre Dame again. And I was like, that ain't gonna get it done.
No, you're not gonna be able to.
Is that the reason? Come on, give me a break.
Oh wow, that's tough to hear.
I heard that was one of the statements that was made. Now, how truthful that is, people talk out of the side of their neck sometimes. You know how that is. But I heard that, and I was sitting there thinking, not if Notre Dame wants to compete, because they're going. You're trying to play a national schedule, and whatever you feel about the ACC, it is what it is, because you're going to end up playing somebody. You're going to end up getting a Clemson. You're going to end up getting a North Carolina that's going to have guys that can run up and down the field. You're going to end up playing, Miami, Florida State, and sooner or later, if you're not recruiting athletes to match the athletes that you're playing against, and then now with Lincoln Riley at USC, they're not going out there and playing, getting the eye and flip the tight end and run weak side ISO.
I need you to beat Cincinnati. How about that?
Well, they'll beat Cincinnati. Well,
I need you to beat Cincinnati.
Here's the deal. Those kids that Oregon was getting, they're going to stay in Cali now.
Yeah.
They're going to stay. And that's the whole thing that
we've already got a couple of those kids in the portal.
Yeah, but you got them because Riley didn't dig in the trenches yet. Let Riley get in the trenches and just shut down from the west of Mississippi, and let him go ahead and take that thing all the way to the Pacific Ocean and the Northwest. I think Riley's going to do a great job with that. The job that I find is going to be It's going to be interesting to watch how this works. I think that they're going to leave at LSU. They're going to leave Brian Kelly alone. Let him do his deal because he's going to be, guys, he's going to win. He is. I agree with you. Just like Jonathan and Craig said, he's won everywhere, and he's going to make that happen down there. But here's the deal, and what's the elephant in the room? Y'all know I go there. The elephant in the room was people didn't feel good about LSU football anymore because not what was going on the field, but it was about what was going on off the field with all the infractions and the harassment and all this. There wasn't a good feeling about what Ed Orgeron, what he was selling. Didn't nobody want to buy that anymore because it meant trouble. So they wanted a guy who is a straight blue collar, going to grind it. He's going to make the adjustments. But more importantly, he's going to convince those kids in Louisiana, hey, look, you receiver that's one of the top receivers in the nation. Okay, I'm going to spin the ball. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to give you what you need to be the best. Okay, so that job in itself, I think he's going to be fine. The one that I think is a trap is Oregon, because Dan Lanning's got to go out there, and he's got to go out there and he's got to lock down the Northwest. But Oregon is a nationally recruiting program, okay? And all the bells and whistles with the many helmets and uniforms, the greatest line I've seen, I saw a little emoji about this with Coach Saban say, well, we just wear one uniform, okay? And we don't change it. It's never been about the uniforms for us. I'm paraphrasing, but my Bama fans know which one I'm talking about. It's about what's in the uniform, not the, that wows some people, but it won't. Some people want to get back to that smash mouth football. And what Napier's going to do in Florida, Napier is going to take everything from Orlando on up, and he's going to lock it down. And when he locks it down, he's going to get tough players that do well in tough situations. So he's going to change the whole fabric of what has happened. People didn't like what Urban Meyer did behind the scenes, okay? And then they wouldn't give Dan Mullen help. So there you go. Now, here's the job that I think is going to be a situation where if he doesn't win soon, there's going to be some rumblings. And unfortunately, it's the Notre Dame deal. You're putting a young guy, inexperienced guy. Yeah, the players like him. But look here, you still got to go make the plays. Okay, and if he doesn't make those plays, those players don't make those plays, that coach, great guy, but everybody gets to throw darts at him saying you wasn't ready for it. It was a sentimental value pick. And sentimental
does it get?
Championship. So with that being said, let me tell you about your boy Cristobal in Miami. I'm going to tell you this right now. He's going to get somebody off one of them national championship Miami teams besides him, and he's going to bring him on the staff. And I think it's going to be Ed Reed if he's not already there. There's going to be somebody that he's going to connect to bring in, and he's waiting on some of this stuff, these championship games to be done with, the playoffs, and he's going to pluck somebody big, and I think that's going to help Miami. Now, Cristobal, when he gets to the point where he's playing for the big-time deal, because I agree with you, Joel, Clemson's down. So you got to battle with Wake Forest, and you got to battle Pitt, Wake Forest, and North Carolina. I'm scared, okay? I'm just scared, So now you got to find a fight with them. Guess what, guys? He better deliver, okay? Because you know how Miami gets. Miami is hot, 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 okay? So he's not approving that. And I think he can get it done. So we'll be back to USC. We'll be back to, of course, Alabama, Georgia. And we'll be back to the U. And, all will be right with the football world. Okay? And everybody else play for the last, the other spots other than the top 4 or top 6. And there you have it from Bull Jones, because that's what I think is going to happen.
All right, I got a question for everybody out there then, and I've been thinking about this. Do you think that Marcus Freeman could have been honestly a holdover hire? Like, we're going to hire him now, but he's not our long-term coach because of the turmoil already in the coaching carousel?
Yeah, because he irons everything. He keeps the ship upright.
Exactly. While it's moving until they get that name.
Oh wow. Well,
and he Marcus Freeman reminds me.
That's a good point.
He reminds me.
That's a great point.
Larry
you do that
Coleman.
and you keep both schemes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I think Jonathan got some coach in him, man.
No.
He lying. Hey, fellas, he said he hadn't coached, but he pops up with some stuff that make you scratch your head. That's a great point. I think that can happen. But I don't think it's bad. I think it's I mean, because now you're to the point. I'm telling you, Urban Meyer jacked all this up.
Oh God.
Okay, and when everybody was pointing the fingers at Ed Orgeron, Urban Meyer's in the strip club. I mean, he danced. Okay, but the problems always happen. So I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point, and that could really happen. And we're gonna see just how long this Notre Dame dance with Freeman goes. I wish him luck. I really
it'll go as long as it went for Ty Willingham.
Well, and Ty was winning. Ooh, Ty was winning. Ty just
he didn't fit the brand. He didn't fit the brand.
No, Ty. America wasn't ready for Ty yet.
He didn't fit the brand.
Ty was.
I have a throw-off question, coaches, and Jonathan. How long does Texas deal with Sarkisian?
That's a really complicated question, and sorry to make this a longer question, I guess you can say. I think it ties into the Louisiana job with Brian Kelly, actually, because we're talking about him. I think his job is about to be substantially harder because of Steve Sarkisian and Jimbo Fisher locking down Texas. You go back and look at the recruiting numbers. So that's why I actually am so big on Brian Kelly. But Steve Sarkisian, in my opinion, I think they're going to be patient with him. I really, as long as he can recruit and bring in the kids that he's bringing in now, I would say 3 to 4 years. I'm not saying to win a national championship, but it's got to be near it at that point.
What about you, Craig?
What was the question? Was about Sarkisian? I can't hear Coach Williams all the time. It comes in and out.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you. How long? He said, "How long is Sarkisian going to stay at Oklahoma?" Is that? No, I mean, Texas. Correct?
Texas. Well, before I give you that, he hired a great running back coach. I will say that he hired a great running back coach.
I think you know something about that young man, Deshaun Choice, right?
I love that dude. I love the offense that Sark runs, but you can't give up leads like he gave up to Oklahoma. And they're not going to put up with that. I don't care how much money they spent, and I don't care where he coached before, and if he's got rings on his finger or not. People at Texas want to win now. They don't want to win, 10 years from now, 4 years from now. They want to win now. So he better start making some substantial gains next year, or they're going to be people putting some fire to his feet. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he's going to have to make some substantial. You can't lose to Kansas, man.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but you can't lose to Kansas.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna close the evening out, fellas, with this to answer your question, Joel. I think that Sark is not going to be at Texas long. I think that Kelly, Jimbo Fisher, and Sark are the three people that I think are going to end up in the NFL because of, listen to this, because of Lane Kiffin and Coach Nick Saban. Because the Bama bus ain't going down, and Kiffin is gathering up some steam, and somebody gonna take an L, and it's either gonna be Sarkisian, Jimbo Fisher, yes, I said that, and Coach Kelly at LSU, and they're gonna go to the NFL because all this stuff is going down. Don't be surprised, Dan Snyder once the season's over with, he gonna come back. Well, no, he's gonna have his team taken away from him. The Washington team, I think. But so much is going on in the NFL. And just watch what I say, guys. It's going to – one of those three guys is not going to make it that long. But they're going to go to greener pastures, which will be with the grown men in the NFL. And to be honest with you, I think they'll get it right because their mentality and approach with older men might help as opposed to dealing with chasing around 18-year-olds. And, guys, I tell you what, that's it. I appreciate y'all. We got the butter from the duck tonight. Okay, so the next time we see the white of each other's eyes, we will know who the top four are. I think we all agree that it's going to be Alabama, Coach Saban, Crimson Tide against Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs. We all know guys on especially on the Georgia staff, and we want those guys to make it. After we want to see the best, and I think we're gonna see the best. But it's going to be some tough riding, It's going to be a great game. I hope nobody gets up and goes to the bathroom. They might miss something. I know. I'm going to be, I'm going to be in front of tube just like everybody else. I'm going to be texting Jonathan every third play, and Jonathan's going to blow a head gasket.
Yep.
Craig, that's the only guy I know that when he can blow a head gasket on the texting and a group text, and you could truly get a visual of him like blowing off steam. He's got me beat on the football field, if you believe that. He's blowing it. I'm telling you, literally. But,
I get too passionate. I do.
But guys, I appreciate you all coming on tonight with me. Thank you for sharing some time. We get a chance to talk this great game about football, college football, and I enjoyed this time. We get a chance to just rap about what we think is going to happen. So, sports fans, if you all enjoyed the show, please make sure that you like and share, subscribe. Please make sure you tune in to Jonathan College Football with Jonathan Lewis. Guys got some great stuff going on. And I got these two gentlemen here, Craig Chapman, my offensive coordinator extraordinaire, Joel Williams, DC, defensive coordinator. Hey, we enjoy talking some football. And, fellas, I appreciate you. So on behalf of Jeremiah, I know he's my producer, the man behind the scenes, cranking this thing up for me. Jeremiah Long, I appreciate you. And thank you guys for joining 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk tonight.